Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy, and I'm not sure if I'm even going to release the video where I made this mess, but if I do, then this is going to be my redo. I am determined. So one of the things I figured out when I did this painting, just to give you some backdrop, I tried to do a deconstructed bloom on this 10 by 20, and I tried to tilt it. And tilting it, I never could get the composition the way I wanted. The center would always get gross. And so I think I must have tried to do this 4 times in the video, which is why I don't even know if it's ever going to come out, you know? But I liked the colors. I liked the idea. I started with a gold cell activator, and then I ended up switching to Payne's Gray because I was just getting so frustrated with how the center was turning out. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do similar colors and try for gold again and spin it, or if I'm just going to do it quickly and actually use colors I already have mixed up because time is of the essence. But I got the big puppy pool, like the big kahuna out that I used for like 12 by 24s. And I'm going to spin it today instead of tilting it. And in my mind, it just has to be better than what it was before. So I'll show you my colors as soon as I figure out what those are going to be, and we'll give it a go. So thanks for hanging out. It may be a longer video if I talk all the way through it, but we'll see.
Okay, so I decided to do a voiceover. I actually talked to my husband shortly after I recorded that part and did the whole painting on the phone with him. So it's funny. Modern technology, am I right? So I decided to go with similar colors, and I did find that custom purple that is really more of an eggplant, so it's not quite the same purple I had when I first worked with this color palette. That red color is purely pigment with some interference gold in it. It's holly berry, and it's a beautiful color. I'm also using lemon sorbet and fairy floss, and I think rouge violet, and I didn't end up using the black. I used that eggplant color instead. And I decided to go with the gold cell activator to give it a go since I was spinning it this time. And but I thought I was using the cell activator I had just mixed the last time, but really I ended up freshening up an old one, so who knows how old it was. So pouring down the paint. The one downside of using the puppy pool is I like to start the blooms with my own breath and then hit it with the hairdryer, and I couldn't reach it to do that, so I had to solely use the hairdryer. And you'll see where I had some trouble. So some of the things I learned on this is I should have maybe just done 2 blooms near the center instead of 3, because you'll find that as I spin it, the 2 just kind of fall off. And then I have a composition problem. I do think it turns out okay, though. So I think the end result is okay. So I'm just kind of talking you through what I did. So here I'm just kind of encouraging the paint to go all the way to the edge so that when we do spin, we don't have to overspin. Because the difficulty is sometimes in oddly shaped square or rectangle canvases, in order to get your sides and corners covered, you have to use quite a bit of paint. And then the more paint you use, the more you have to spin off, which makes for wonkier composition, as we all know. So yeah, at this point, I was chatting with my husband, and I just started putting the paint down because I knew that, time is of the essence. Once you've got the paint on the canvas, you can't really stall too long. So we're going to put the lemon sorbet down first. I did go with 3 puddles. I think next time I would do 2. And just because I need to really feel more comfortable with this process before I start doing that. And then if you have 2, you have a little bit more space where you can give them their own distinct room, and but it does, I think, turn out nicely. It has to be better than what we're painting over, right? I mean, So I do think it turns out nicely. But yeah, let me speed up this part a little bit for you because some of this has got to be boring. And then we'll keep going. And just a shout out to Karen from Waterfall Acrylics. She makes these look so much easier than they are. But they are really beautiful and they're unique. And I like that sometimes you can get away with a less than perfect composition on a deconstructed bloom and still have something beautiful. And I also really like them on these longer canvases. This is a 10 by 20. I recently went out and like impulse bought 4 12 by 24s, so I'm gonna have to get good at these eventually. The other bonus is I used up all of that paint, so I'm trying to do better about only mixing up what I really think I'm gonna use, because I just really hate wasting paint and having it all be thrown. So we've got the lemon sorbet, we've got that beautiful red color. This is fairy floss. The last time I was using, I forgot what it was, flamingo or something, but I have this mixed up from when I did the challenge for Mo, which has been, sheesh, like maybe almost a year. So I had to freshen it up a little bit, but it was still fairly good to use. And then that's the Rouge Violet from Color Art. I think I had some Australian Red Violet in another container, so I just combined them. And then this other custom color, I would say the closest color that Leslie has to that custom color would be Bordeaux, but this is a little bit more violet than Bordeaux. But my custom purple that I had used when I tried to do this and failed miserably, I had already run out of. So I was kind of looking for a warmer purple to throw into the mix that I already had mixed up where I could just freshen it up, and you can see it's still a little bit thick. But one of the most beautiful custom purples I've ever made was made by either mixing indigo or indanthrine blue with Australian red violet or rouge violet. It gives you a nice, warm, beautifully rich purple. Because Diox purple is more blue, so it's more cool. So that was kind of the intention. And this is the gold cell activator. So you can kind of see that I have my petals a little bit far apart, which, you know, I learned from doing this, but you'll get to see the effort. The other thing is I was having to solely rely on my hair dryer, and I like to kind of enlarge the circle of the cell activator. So you can see I struggled a little bit with the blowout, but that's okay. What I did really enjoy about doing this, you can see I really messed that one up right there, was I was like, you know, it's kind of like a big messy bloom, which I understand is the concept of a deconstructed bloom more or less, but I was like, it kind of makes me think these would be fun to do, like big messy blooms on like a large square canvas, or even some other not huge canvases. Like, I'm not as brave as Lisa Marvin with the 20 inchers yet, but you know, just kind of like a flowy, sloppy bloom. Anyway, it just gave me ideas. You'll see kind of how this one turns out and see why it made me think that. But yeah, you can see I'm already over here struggling a little bit with how is this going to work out? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I do end up really liking the results. And I was actually kind of touching up the edges today so I could do a quick coat of varnish on it. The only downside is I had painted underneath it. So as it dried, you can kind of see the texture of the painting underneath it. And I'm not going to resin it. So, you know, I'm hoping that the varnish will conceal that enough, but we'll see. So you can kind of see where I'm starting to have the problem. Those two blooms are just going right off the edge. And now it's weird looking. So if I were to leave it like this, it's quite the composition challenge. So it kind of left me with a little bit of a conundrum, you know. Do I just pour it over? Like, at that point, I wasn't going to have, I finished most of my paint, so I wasn't going to have that ability. So it just kind of left me with the challenge of, okay, now how do I get some of this negative space off without losing what I think is actually a pretty nice looking bloom in the center. So I could live with, for the most part, what was on the bottom, which is now to your left, but I was struggling with what was to your right. So anyway, I just kind of kept messing with it, and then I was like, I'm just going to put some paint on that edge and just slide it right off. And so that's what I did. And it worked out okay. It's not like the world's greatest painting, but considering how much I struggled with it the last time, it like gave me hope that I can do these and it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, see, I can live with that. So I think what I do is right there on the top left-hand corner. My husband told me to leave it alone. And now that I look at it, that really doesn't bother me as much as it did. But in the moment, it bothered me a lot. And so I probably should listen to my husband. But I did cover that up with a little bit of paint, white paint. And I just let it move a little bit more. And then I was like, okay, it's kind of like a flowy, watercolor-y bloom. I can live with that. And the colors are absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but the colors are really beautiful. So yeah, I think it works out. I just, I had to work for it a little bit. But beautiful lacing. The cell activator didn't look all weird. That's one of the things that bugs me is with the Deconstructed Bloom is if the center, I don't expect it to look perfect, but I don't want it to look like super weird either. So that's where I struggled a little bit. But I'll show you a close-up in a minute so you can kind of see what it looks like. I do want to do more of these. I also would like to just grab some of my like 12-inch canvases and do maybe a messier bloom on purpose. That might have some negative space, might not. I think we work so hard to try to get a bloom to look perfect. So then when you're kind of going for something like this, it almost works against everything that you've programmed yourself to look for in a bloom, if that makes sense. But anyway, I did think it was an enjoyable process, and it gave me hope that I can do these a little bit more and experience some success. So anyway, thanks for hanging in there with me. I'll bring you down for a close-up. And, I think I'm still going to add the paint. Let me speed this part up a little bit for you. So I'm pointing to the thing that's bothering me, and it's that one little section. I struggled with, maybe I just leave it, and I suggest the composition should be with all of that on the bottom and the flower on the top, so it kind of looks like, I don't know, something. But I was like, no, I don't think so. So then I just put enough paint to cover it up, and then I was like, okay, I like that better. Like it still looks strange with that other part, but I still liked it better. Now, had I been able to blow into this bloom, I would have probably, before I spun it out the first time, I probably would have blown some of that out a little bit from the center out, but I couldn't, right? So I couldn't get in the puppy pool. So let me show you a close-up. All right, so here is the close-up. As you can see, the colors are really pretty together. Maybe not exactly what I was going for, but I still think it turned out beautiful. So you'll have to let me know what you think. And thanks for joining me on the process. I won't resin it. I will probably just varnish it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.